Good evening, hockey fans, and welcome on into the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tonight, we're going to talk some playoff previews, talk some wild card races, got some records from the Kings and the Oilers to discuss, and NCAA hockey tournament, as well as Frozen 4 previews, and the Blackhawks and Johnathan Toews are hitting retirement. Adam's not going to be happy. All that and more coming up next on the Neutral Zone. So strap in, get checked in the boards, stay out of the penalty box. Let's go. Good evening, hockey fans. You've found the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Zach Puplis. Adam Karnick has the night off. Lots to get into tonight. We're going to talk some playoff previews, some wild card races, the NCAA hockey tourney, as well as the Frozen 4. Some records to talk about from the Kings and the Oilers, as well as maybe some retirement talk for one of Adam's favorite Blackhawks. He's not going to be happy. We'll get into all that, plus check the scores around the league tonight. Tuesday seems to always be a busy night for hockey. That'll be a good one. Blue Jackets and Rangers are in the third. Rangers leading that 4-2. Canadiens Flyers tied at 1 in the third. At the end of 1, Canucks and Blues are tied at 2. Stars are leading the Blackhawks 1-0 in the first with about 5 minutes to go. Still to come tonight, we got Kings and Flames that just tipped off. Oilers and Golden Knights at 10 p.m. Ooh, man, that'll be a good one too. And Jets and Sharks. For you West Side Story nuts out there. That's at 10:30. Jets obviously have the upper hand of that one. Season record being 41-30-3, and the Sharks haven't even scratched 20 wins yet. So Winnipeg definitely is the favorite in that one. But yeah, so let's do our little housekeeping as always before we get too far into the night. For the last 8+ years, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content, ranging from interviewing legendary athletes to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've continued to be by the fans, for the fans, and with your help, we're ready to take the next step. When you go to our website, iesportsradio.com, you'll see our Patreon link with 5 different tiers. First one starting at just $5 a month. This donation gets you shout-outs on all 32 of our shows. Higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to our podcasting university, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment. Thank you all very much for continuing to make IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. That being said, we want to thank our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, M. Los Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. If you're listening along, you can find us anywhere where you get your podcasts. But if you're listening live, you can hop on into the Spreaker app and into the chat room and chat with us. If you have any questions, concerns, comments, all hockey related, we'll gladly handle them. You can also interact with us on Twitter at IESR the Neutral Zone. Just IESR Neutral Zone. And then you can also hit me up on Twitter at the Pupless. We're also on all the other social networks, Instagram and TikTok and all that. So, all right, that being said, out of the way, let's get into tonight in the hockey world. Okay, so the LA Kings have set a franchise record with a point in their 12th straight game. This coming from the Associated Press just yesterday. Victor Arvidsson had 2 goals for his second straight game. Adrian Kemp also scored twice, and the LA Kings extended their point streak to a franchise record 12 games and a 7-6 win over the St. Louis Blues on Sunday night. Alex Iafallo and Trevor Moore also scored during a 5-goal first period, and Drew Doughty scored for the third consecutive game to help the Kings run their record to 10-0-2 since their last regulation loss at the New York Rangers on February 26th. Ooh, getting hot at the right time. I think first and third period we played pretty well, Kemp said. It was just second period where we didn't play so well at all. So, good lesson for us, and I think we answered pretty well in the third. Philip Danault had 3 assists. Phoenix Copley made 16 saves. And the Kings also completed their best homestand ever with a 5-0-2 mark in 7 games. My goodness. Jordan Kyrou had 2 goals, and Brandon Saad, Justin Falk, Pavel Buchnevich, and Kasperi Kapanen also scored for St. Louis. But the Blues had their 5-game point streak snapped. Joel Hofer was replaced after giving up 5 goals on 17 shots in the first period. I think for fans, interesting game to watch. I think we show some character to almost get them back, Buchnevich said. The Kings wasted no time jumping all over the Blues, getting goals from Arvidsson at even strength, Iafallo on the power play, and Kemp shorthanded in the opening 7:35. Saad broke up the momentum briefly, but Arvidsson and Moore had power play goals. Hoffner's night ended with a 3 minutes and 38 seconds left in the opening period. Jordan Binnington made 12 saves in relief, stopping a penalty shot by Arvidsson midway through the second. Things did get dicey for the Kings, however, when the Blues scored 3 straight goals in the second period, pulling within 1 on Kyrou's power play goal with 2:25 left. Kings coach Todd McClellan says, "We were able to get to a young goaltender, and it came real fast. Nothing ever comes easy in this league, but the power play was clicking. Everything felt good, and then we played like it felt good instead of playing our game, and that's when it changed." Kemp responded with his 36th goal early in the third to push the margin back to 2, and Doughty struck on the power play 39 seconds after Kapanen made it 6-5. "It's all wrong today," Buchnevich said of the special teams breakdowns by the Blues. "I think we've been, the last couple months, super solid on penalty kill. I don't know, maybe their game, it just doesn't click." Kyrou cut it to 7-6 with 49 seconds remaining, and Biddington was pulled for the extra attacker. Wow. So, yeah, jumped out to an early lead and almost blew it, but we're able to seal the deal. Whew. Yeah, I would have gotten nervous too. Did definitely get dicey there for a bit. Okay, so there was another record to talk about out in the West. Connor McDavid with the Oilers has become the first NHL player since 1996 to reach 140 points. From the wee hours this morning, ESPN News, Connor McDavid picked up an assist for his 140th point of the season Monday night in the Edmonton Oilers' 5-4 victory over the Arizona Coyotes. McDavid, the all-star center who is running away in the race for the Hart Trophy as league MVP, became the first player to reach that mark since Mario Lemieux and Jaromir Jagr both achieved it in 1995-96 for the Pittsburgh Penguins. The last Oilers player to do it was Wayne Gretzky in 87-88. No surprise there. McDavid also became just the 7th player in NHL history with 60 goals and 80 assists in a season. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scored the tie-breaking goal with 7:55 remaining as Edmonton helped its cause in the Western Conference playoff race with 2 points. Oilers coach Jay Woodcroft says, "We had a couple of shifts in the third period that we'd like to have back, but then we got it back in control. In the end, it was not a perfect game, but we walked out of there with 2 points." Zach Hyman, Bouchard, Darnell Nurse, and Leon Draisaitl also scored for the Oilers, who extend their point streak to 7, 6-0-1. Jack Campbell stopped 29 shots in the victory. "We thought we had a real strong second period," Hyman said. "We were up in the third and we let it slip away, but we were able to find a way to get it back and win the game, so that's all that matters. But obviously we want to clean that act up." Edmonton entered Monday night as the highest scoring team in the league with 286 goals. The Oilers showed why in the first period with 3 goals, 1 on power play, 1 shorthanded, and 1 at even strength. Like Adam and I are always talking, there's just video game numbers. It's just unbelievable. Despite McDavid being in the penalty box for hooking, the Oilers took their first lead on Nurse's 9th goal at 18:11 when he and Kyler Yamamoto broke in on Velkema 2-on-1. After 5 goals and 6 penalties in the first period, the second period had just 1 goal when Draisaitl scored his 46th, beating Vejmelka from the face-off circle to the goalie's left with 5 minutes and 28 seconds remaining to push the Oilers' lead to 4-2. So, congrats to Connor McDavid. All right, so Adam, if you're listening tonight, you might want to shut your, put some earmuffs on for this one. Blackhawks and Johnathan Toews. He said he's returned to ice, and he hints at retirement. Adam, if you're listening, first Patrick Kane and now Johnathan Toews. Man, rough year. Longtime Chicago Blackhawks captain Johnathan Toews returned to the ice Tuesday, but hinted that his stellar NHL career could be winding down after 15 years. Toews, 34, skated with his teammates prior to Chicago's game with the Dallas Stars. It was his first time practicing with them since a game in Edmonton on January 28th. He made a statement through the team on February 19th saying he would be stepping away because of the effects of chronic immune response syndrome and long-term COVID. In meeting with reporters on Tuesday, Toews stopped short of saying he hoped to play in any of the last place Chicago's 9 remaining games. His 8-year, $84 million contract is set to expire at the end of the season. Toews said he's feeling stronger, but isn't sure if he'll be able to play for the Blackhawks or another team. Play again for the Blackhawks or another team. Quote, both if I'm being fully honest, Toews said. I feel like I've said it already, that I've gotten to the point where my health is more important. When you're young and you're playing for a Stanley Cup and everyone's playing through something, that means something and it's worthwhile. But I'm at that point where it feels like more damage is being done than it is a good thing. Toews, the Blackhawks' first-round draft pick, third overall in 2006, joined the team in 2007 and was a pillar of Stanley Cup championship clubs in 2010, 13, and 15. At the peak of his career, he was one of the NHL's top two-way centers, winning the Selke Trophy as the league's top defensive forward in 2013. In 1,060 regular season games, Toews has 371 goals, 509 assists. In 139 playoff games, he's posted 45 goals and 74 assists, and he won the Conn Smythe Trophy as playoff MVP in 2010. Toews missed the entire 2020-21 season with chronic immune response system, which caused debilitating inflammation and fatigue. He appeared in 71 games in 21 and 22, then started this season with renewed energy before slowing and eventually shutting himself down. Entering this season, it looked as if Chicago might deal him, as it did fellow star Patrick Kane, before the March trade deadline. But Kane went to the New York Rangers and Toews to injured reserve. Toews believed he was progressing before a relapse in January left him so sore and tired that he could barely, quote, put on my skates or roll out of bed to come to the rink. Toews said his progress over the past month has been, quote, pretty encouraging, and he's delighted to be back among his teammates. He has no timetable beyond that. Chicago coach Luke Richardson says, we're just going to go day by day here. He deserves anything he wants to try to achieve here. Richardson hoped Toews, quote, can take the next step later in the week, and hopefully he gives us the green light to go in a game. But Toews emphasized his long-term health and ability to lead, quote, a normal life is most important. He wants to go out on a positive note and not hit the ice for a game playing through excessive pain and dysfunction. Quote, it's definitely on my mind that this could be my last few weeks here as a Blackhawk in Chicago. Toews said, it's definitely very important for me to go out there and enjoy the game and just kind of soak it in and just really be appreciative of everything I've been able to be part of here in Chicago. Well, you know, if this is the end, he's had a great career, and we definitely salute him, and, you know, you got to do what's best for your health. I totally get it. Okay, Adam, you can take the earmuffs off now. All right, let's get a score update, and then we're going to take a quick break here. Let's see. Predators and Bruins. Preds still lead at 1-0 in the third. Lightning and Hurricanes. Lightning lead at 3-0 in the third. Penguins and Red Wings are tied at 4 now in the third. Blue Jackets and Rangers. Rangers lead at 4-2 in the third. Canadians and Flyers are tied 1-1, third period. Blues and Canucks. Blues are up 3-2 in the second. Stars lead the Blackhawks 2-0, speaking of, at the end of one. And let's see, almost halfway through one, Flames lead the Kings 1-0. Oilers and Golden Knights still to come, and Jets and Sharks still to come tonight. All right, you're listening to The Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back.
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Shores of the Puget Sound to the rushing waters of the Columbia River, stretching across the Great Cascades, and on IE Sports Radio lives the Northwest Territory Sports Show, hosted by me, Brad Buckingham. On this show, I cover all the great collegiate and professional sport teams that we have here in the Pacific Northwest. Of course, I'm talking about the Seattle Seahawks, Seattle Mariners, Sounders, and even the Seattle Kraken. But I can't forget all of that is good in Oregon either. I got the Trailblazers, the Oregon Ducks, the Beavers, even the Timbers, and much, much more. You can listen to the show every Sunday from 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern, noon to 1 p.m. Pacific on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
It's IE Sports Radio. It is your direct feed for all that is sports. It is Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris every Tuesday night right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris, the most comprehensive view on Philadelphia sports exclusively right here on IE Sports Radio. You know what it is, your direct feed for all that is sports. Tuesday night, IE Sports Radio, Philly Sports Talk with Cash and Chris.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Harrison Glazer, and we're coming at you from the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. I cover the Jets, the Islanders, the Nets, and the Yankees.
This is Pierre Moss, and I cover the Mets, Knicks, Rangers, and the Giants.
Our show is live every Wednesday through Spreaker and a bunch of other ways to get our content. Again, we're the Show That Never Sleeps podcast. We talk about all those New York sports. It's a lot of fun. We get into all of it. Please tune in. Again, that's Wednesdays at 6 p.m.
And we look forward to having you guys right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back to the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Once again, I'm your host, Zach Poplis. All right, let's get back into it. We're going to talk some playoff predictions and some possible wild card scenarios, wild card races, all that. This is from USA Today, earlier today, from Mike Brem. NHL Stanley Cup playoff bracket, updated league standings, potential first-round matchups. The NHL Stanley Cup playoffs will begin in mid-April. The biggest question is whether the Boston Bruins can keep their spectacular play going through 4 rounds of the postseason. They have already clinched a playoff spot and the Atlantic Division title, tied for the franchise record with 57 victories, and can clinch the President's Trophy on Tuesday and have a chance to break the NHL record of 62 wins in a season. But which other teams will make the playoffs, and what are the matchups going to be in the first round? USA Today Sports is here with everything you need to know about the NHL playoffs, including updated playoff brackets. Here's a comprehensive look at the current NHL postseason outlook, including when the playoffs and the Stanley Cup Final are scheduled to start. All right, so clinching scenarios for Tuesday, March 28th. The Boston Bruins will clinch the President's Trophy if they beat the Nashville Predators, and the Carolina Hurricanes lose to the Lightning in regulation. Vegas Golden Knights will clinch a playoff berth if they defeat the Oilers in regulation, or if they defeat the Oilers in overtime in a shootout, and either of the following occurs. Winnipeg Jets lose to the San Jose Sharks in any fashion, or any result in the Predators-Bruins game other than a Predators regulation win. Or if they get 1 point versus the Oilers, and any one of the following occurs. The Jets lose to the Sharks in overtime/shootout, and the Predators lose to the Bruins in any fashion. The Jets lose to the Sharks in regulation, and any result in the Predators-Bruins other than a Predators regulation win. The Predators lose to the Bruins in regulation. Or if both the Jets and Predators lose their games in regulation. Okay, updated NHL playoff standings. Eastern Conference. Okay, so here's who has clinched a playoff spot so far. In the Metro, they got Carolina in, New Jersey Devils in, New York Rangers in. Atlantic Division, Boston Bruins in, Toronto Maple Leafs in. And Boston has also clinched the division title itself. Okay. Tampa Bay Lightning has not clinched yet. Wild cards, if the season ended today, would be New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins. Currently out of playoff position, Florida Panthers, Buffalo Sabres, Senators, Caps, Red Wings, Flyers, Canadiens, and Blue Jackets have been eliminated from postseason playoff contention. Okay, so that's the East. In the West, in the Central, we got nobody's actually clinched yet. Nobody's clinched a playoff berth, but Minnesota leads the Central, followed by Colorado and Dallas. In the Pacific, you got the Golden Knights leading that could possibly clinch a playoff spot, followed by the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. For the wild card, the Kraken are leading, followed by the Jets, currently out of playoff position, Calgary Flames, Nashville Predators, Vancouver Canucks, St. Louis Blues. Eliminated from the playoffs, Coyotes, Ducks, Blackhawks, Sharks. Sorry, Taryn. Sorry, Adam. Okay, so if the playoffs started today, the Eastern playoff bracket would look like this. The Bruins and Penguins, Hurricanes and Islanders, Devils and Rangers, Maple Leafs and Lightning. Western Conference, if the playoffs started today again, would be Vegas Knights at Winnipeg Jets, Minnesota Wild, Seattle Kraken, Avalanche and Stars, and Kings and Edmonton Oilers. The playoffs began in mid-April, they said. More specifically, the end of the regular season is April 14th. The playoffs would start April 17th, 3 days later. Tentative starting date of the Stanley Cup Final is June 3rd. It'll be on TNT. The defending champ is the Colorado Avalanche. Prior to that, it was Tampa Bay Lightning for 2 years. NHL Draft will take place on June 28th and June 29th at Nashville's Bridgestone Arena. The lottery will be held on 7 p.m. on May 8th at 7 p.m. Eastern among the 16 non-playoff teams. Only the bottom 11 teams will have a chance to draft generational talent Connor Bedard at number 1 overall. The Regina, Saskatchewan Pats center leads the Western Hockey League this season with 143 points in 57 games. So, there you go. All right, there's your playoff preview from USA Today. Here's a playoff preview from ESPN. Tim Cavanaugh, just 2 days ago on ESPN.com. Much of what we examine in this space revolves around the races to earn a playoff spot, or the race to the bottom for the lottery teams. But let's look a little bit ahead for 2 teams that have already clinched their spots in the playoffs. Boston Bruins have been on a record pace this season, securing their playoff ticket back on March 11th, and the Atlantic Division title on Saturday with their 2-1 victory over the Tampa Bay Lightning. They need 8 more points to clinch the President's Trophy as the league's number 1 team this season over the Carolina Hurricanes, who are their opponents just the other day. Carolina has a bit more work to do to clinch its division. New Jersey Devils are just 2 points behind and 1 regulation win behind the Canes, although Carolina does have 2 games in hand. What are the chances these 2 clubs will meet again in the Eastern Conference Finals for a rematch of last season's epic 7-game first-round clash? Money Puck gives the Bruins a 37.5% chance of reaching the conference finals, while the Hurricanes are at 48.3%. Bruins' path will likely begin with the second wild card, second wild card, one of the following teams: New York Islanders, Pittsburgh Penguins, or Florida Panthers. They have gone 3-0-0 against the Isles, 2-0-0 against the Penguins, with a game coming soon on April 1st, and 2-1-1 against the Panthers. In the second round, they'll likely take on the Toronto Maple Leafs, against whom they've gone 2-1-1 with a game left on April 6th, or the Lightning, 3-1-0. As for the Hurricanes, they'll take on the first wild card. They went 4-0-0 against the Penguins this season, 2-1-0 against the Isles with a game left on April 2nd, and 1-1-0 against the Panthers with one game left on April 13th. Round 2 will be more difficult as they've gone 2-2-0 against the Devils and 1-3-0 against the Rangers. Oh, and heading down to the showdown, the Bruins and the Canes each have won one game in the season series. As we enter the final stretch of the regular season, it's time to check all the playoff races, along with the teams jockeying for position in the 2023 NHL Draft Lottery. So, all right, ESPN, their predicted playoff matchups. Eastern Conference, Bruins and Penguins, Maple Leafs, Lightning, Hurricanes, Islanders, Devils, Rangers. Western Conference, Wild and Kraken, Stars and Avalanche, Golden Knights and Winnipeg Jets, and Kings and Oilers. All right, so expanded standings. Atlantic Division, Boston has clinched the division. They have 117 points on the season and 49 regulation wins. Wow. They're, again, head and shoulders of everybody else in the division. Yeah. Is there anything else in this one? Race for the number one pick. NHL has the draft lottery to determine the order of the first round, so the team that finishes in last place is not guaranteed the number one selection. As of 2021, a team might move up a maximum of 10 spots if it wins the lottery, so only 11 teams are eligible for the draw for the number one pick. The winner of said draft would get Connor Bedard, who has been lauded as a generational talent. So right now, the draft order is as stands. San Jose Sharks, number 1. Columbus Blue Jackets, 2. Chicago Blackhawks, 3. Anaheim Ducks at 4. Montreal Canadiens at 5. Arizona Coyotes at 6. Philadelphia Flyers at 7. Vancouver Canucks at 8. Detroit Red Wings at 9. St. Louis Blues at 10. Ottawa Senators at 11. Washington Capitals at 12. Buffalo Sabres at 13. Florida Panthers at 14. Nashville Preds at 15, and Calgary Flames at 16. So we will see what happens the rest of the way, but that's been a good glimpse into what's going on. Standing wise and with points, Boston has 119. It's just epic. Wow. Toronto has 97, Tampa Bay 92, and then the rest of the division is in the 70s, except for Montreal, who's been eliminated. In the Metro, Carolina and New Jersey both have over 100 points. Carolina with 103, New Jersey with 100. Rangers have 98, Islanders have 85, Pittsburgh has 82, Washington and Philly both are in the 70s. Nobody else in the league has over 100. That's insane. Wow. Western Conference, Minnesota leads it with 95, followed closely behind by Colorado with 94, Dallas with 92, Winnipeg and Nashville in the 80s, St. Louis with 72. Arizona and Chicago eliminated. In the Pacific, Vegas and LA lead it with 98 and 96 respectively, followed by Edmonton at 93, Seattle at 88. That's a good sophomore season for them. Calgary 81, Vancouver 73, Anaheim and San Jose have been eliminated. Okay, so some more playoff previews here. Okay, let's look at some of the wild card races here. Okay. How will the wild card races shake out? These are from some of the ESPN NHL insiders. In the East, the Islanders will get the wild card 1, while the Penguins will get the wild card 2. Out West, the Kraken get the wild card 1, Jets get wild card 2. The challenge in predicting the Penguins is there's no telling what will happen between them and the Panthers, given that the margin is so tight. Okay, this other insider says, I've got the Islanders in the wild card 1 spot, Panthers bumping the Penguins from the wild card 2 position in the East, with the Kraken settling in wild card 1, Flames booting the Jets from playoff contention and snagging the wild card 2 out West. As mentioned, Calgary's schedule down the stretch is too favorable to blow. Even for a team that has, in my view, made matters unnecessarily difficult for itself thus far. Another insider says, I've got the Penguins snagging the first wild card in the East, with the Isles holding off the Panthers for the second out West. Standings today will be the same as the standings in the final, with the Kraken wild card 1, Jets in wild card 2. Kristen Schulten says, out East, it'll be the Islanders in wild card 1, Panthers grabbing wild card 2 from Pittsburgh. In the West, Seattle should hold on to wild card 1. Winnipeg will stand pat in wild card 2. Which is too bad for the Jets, really. Their recent struggles created a missed opportunity to land a top 3 position in the Central Division. Lastly, Greg Wyshynski says, I think the Penguins finish in the first wild card. Panthers rally to secure the second wild card, with the Islanders on the outs. Florida has to take at least 5 points in this upcoming road swing before having 4 of their last 5 in Sunrise, where they're 21, 12, and 4. In the West, Greg says he thinks the Kraken will finish in the first wild card and the Jets will snag the second. Basically the same percentage chance in favor of both happening at the moment. As for who will get the number 1 seed in the West, let's see. That person says Golden Knights. That one says Kings. That one says Minnesota. This Kristen Schulten, predicting anything about the Western Conference has been a fool's errand. So what's a little more chaos? The Kings haven't earned nearly enough praise for their terrific season, and it's the Kings who have the best chance of catching and passing Vegas to be crowned Western champs. Greg Wyshynski says he thinks the Dallas Stars. Look at all the games between the Knights, the Wild, the Kings, and say, let them fight. And they'll swoop in and take the first pick, or the first position in the West. It would take a small fade from Vegas, but it could happen, he says. All right. We are going to take a quick break and come back, and we're going to talk some college hockey. We'll be right back. You're listening to The Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, sports fans? Are you looking for the latest on Northern California sports? Then take a trip out west with me, your host, Gina G, on Reppin' the NorCal Sports, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'll be bringing it to you all the way live every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. And it's always a packed show. I'll bring you everything Dynastic 49ers, the bite of the San Jose Sharks, torture of the San Francisco Giants, the Golden State Warriors that we still believe. Then take you across the bay to the rise and grind of the Oakland A's. I've got you covered on college ball from the Cal Bears to the Stanford Cardinal, so that no matter what, reppin' a NorCal sports is always reppin' the Bay. So if you bleed red and gold, or you're looking to keep an eye out west in them thar hills, don't miss me, Gina G, on reppin' a NorCal sports. Catch me every Monday at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern, and I'll have your fandom repped harder than a trio of defenders guarding Stephen Curry before his buzzer beater is Gucci.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And we're back to the Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Zach Poplis. One last segment, and we're going to get out of here for the night. We're going to talk some college hockey next. We got the NHL hockey tournament going on right now. Parallels the NHL or NCAA basketball tournament. But instead of 64 teams, it's only 16 teams. So it just started last week, and it's already down to the Frozen Four. All right, ESPN.com from yesterday. The NCAA Men's Frozen Four is set, and it's lined up to be a beauty. 3 of the top 4 seeds, Minnesota, Michigan, and Quinnipiac, along with number 2 seed Boston University, the Hockey East champion, earned their trips to Tampa, Florida in hopes of claiming the national title. Michigan, who was extended to overtime by Penn State before winning the Allentown Regional final 2-1, is making its NCAA record 27th Frozen Four appearance. Holy smokes. The other programs headed to Tampa are no strangers to the big stage either, with Minnesota and Boston University both making the Frozen Four for the 23rd time. Quinnipiac, which has the best record in the country at 32-4-3, will make its 3rd appearance. The Frozen Four will be at Amalie Arena in Tampa, with the national semifinals April 6th and the national championship game April 8th. Every Frozen Four game is on ESPN2. It'll be available to stream on the ESPN app and ESPN+. Below is the Frozen Four schedule, along with a look at each of the last 4 teams standing, with insight from college hockey analysts Andrew Raycroft, Paul Caponigri, Colby Cohen, and Sean Richland. So here's how the bracket stands. We've got on April 6th, Boston University versus Minnesota, 5 p.m. Quinnipiac versus Michigan, 8:30 p.m. And the winners facing off April 8th at 8 p.m. Some results from the regionals. The Manchester, New Hampshire regional. Boston University beat Western Michigan. Cornell beat Denver. So then Saturday, Boston University beat Cornell. So Boston wins the Manchester regional. The Fargo regional. St. Cloud State beat Minnesota State. Minnesota beat Canisius. So then Minnesota beat St. Cloud State to win the Fargo regional. Bridgeport, Connecticut regional. Ohio State beat Harvard 8-1. Holy smokes. And Quinnipiac beat Merrimack 5-0. So then Sunday, Quinnipiac beat Ohio State 4-1 to win the Bridgeport regional. Lastly, in the Allentown, Pennsylvania regional, Penn State beat Michigan Tech 8-0. Whew, holy smokes. And Michigan, wow, thought that was good. Check this out. Hold my beer. Michigan beat Colgate 11-1. Michigan then had a decision over Penn State 2-1 in overtime to win the Allentown regional. Some little fun facts about each of the Frozen Four participants. Minnesota, the Gophers are in the Frozen Four for the fifth time since their last national title in 2003. They played Boston University in the 95 Frozen Four, and it was a 7-3 win for the Terriers. Andrew Raycroft's takeaways. Number 1 overall seed looked the part. Minnesota outscored its opponents 13-3 over 2 games in Fargo. Never really seemed threatened. Minnesota's a favorite for a reason, with a dynamic forward group, extremely deep back, and a big save goaltender. How Minnesota can win it all. With their depth and talent, Minnesota is the team to beat, but at the Frozen Four, the Gophers will need to be a more disciplined team with the puck in their own zone and do a better job staying out of the box. 8 minor penalties over 2 games in Fargo. All right, Boston University, a little fun fact. Manchester has always been a kind regional for the Terriers. Their past 3 Frozen Four appearances have come out of the New Hampshire site this year, 2015 and 2009, when they won it all. This is Boston's 23rd Frozen Four appearance, but it's only their 3rd since 1998. Boston is very deep up front offensively. They can win it all as long as their goalie remains strong, and they've got the most dynamic player in the country who's a true freshman. They roll 4 lines, and they can get scoring from all 4, from any one of the lines at any time. That could be the key when they're playing the best of the best. All right, Michigan. It's Michigan's 8th Frozen Four since its most recent national championship in 1998. Wolverines are 1-6 in the past 7 national semifinals. Overall, Michigan is making its 27th Frozen Four appearance and has won 9 national titles, tied with Denver for the most ever. And Quinnipiac, this is the 3rd Frozen Four for the Quinnipiac. The Bobcats were national runners-up in 2013 and 2016. Okay. There's the horn. That means it's time to get out of here for the night. You've been listening to The Neutral Zone on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Thanks again for tuning in. We will see you all next week. You can follow us on Twitter at IESR Neutral Zone or myself at The Pupless. We want to thank our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised, Emlos Great, Key to the Gate, and Anonymous. And we want to thank Larry and Taryn and Adam and everybody at the channel. And stay out of the penalty box. Don't get checked into the boards. protect your 5-hole. And we'll be back next week. Have a good night.